So you're telling me that after all that, after everything my family's been through, I can't spoil on my own podcast? No, I don't accept that. I will spoil. If I can't spoil on my podcast, I'm going to kill myself. The following podcast contains spoilers for John Q. You have been warned.
What is up, everybody? It is me, Glenn Washington. I sound like a old fucking president, not impersonation-wise, but Glenn Washington. Holy shit! It's like George's younger brother.
Yeah,
I do not accept that.
I do not accept that. His younger, less successful brother, Glenn Washington.
Your host with KFR, also with Miguel Magusto. Hello,
Yes.
everybody.
Hello.
Can you tell we watched a Denzel movie?
We did watch a Denzel. My impressions for everything are always bad. So if you could get that I watched a Denzel movie after that, I'm impressed.
I will not accept that you're bad. I cannot. I will not.
My son needs a new heart.
You did at the kill myself part. You did that. Did sound pretty. The best part of it.
Cool.
Best part of your
I can't wait
impersonation was
to
the
listen
part where
back to
you
that.
speaking about ending yourself.
Because that was the most honest part of my performance.
It's the most true to heart. Oh
Yes.
no, not the heart. I didn't mean to say that.
Anyway, we watched John Q. We're going to get to that in a bit. But Glenn, before we do that, I know you've watched a couple movies. I don't know how many, though.
I have actually.
More than
I forgot
usual,
to,
I know.
Forgot to look that up. So I actually started watching some movies again. I got HBO Max, so I decided to dwell into the beast that is that app.
Yes.
So I started with The Last Duel, which I kind of regret after watching it, not really seeing it in theaters. But at the same
it was
time,
a really good theater experience.
at the same time, it was a nice, the way the movie was set up, like I could take a break in between the acts.
Yes.
Because it's split up into three different acts from three different perspectives.
And it tells the same story three times.
Tells the same story three times, just
But from different
points
perspectives, yeah.
of views. But the first to second time I didn't know, so that third time I was like, I'm gonna go to the bathroom and maybe make some lunch. So I came back and then watched the third. Really good movie. Ben Affleck was actually surprisingly good.
Yeah.
And
now you understand why I mentioned it so many times in our House of Gucci review.
Gucci.
Yeah, House of Gucci.
Is it Comer? Jodie Comer?
I believe so. It's either
She
Comer?
was fantastic.
100%.
Specifically-
I don't know the Academy too well, who makes the decisions, but I hear whispers that she's going to be nominated for a Stony this year. So
Let him whisper.
yeah, let him whisper.
But she was great, especially in the one scene that it's not too comfortable to talk about. That felt so real and really heart-wrenching.
Yeah.
So that was good. After that, I watched Injustice. A friend of mine wanted me to watch it, so I took a gander to it. It's a DC movie. There's a Injustice game series and a comic book series that came first of all of that. So he wanted me to watch that. It's basically Superman going fucking batshit because his wife dies, basically Lois Lane, and because Joker murders. Oh, that's the only plot point I'll give away. So you just go batshit. It was a little bit different from the games, I will say. I think I like the games' points of view on it a little bit better because they took some weird turns that were like, this is definitely a comic book thing.
Yeah.
This is like a person died and came back as like a guardian angel or some shit at one point. I was like, what the fuck is that? And that took me out of it. And I feel like the end was rushed, but overall it was like a decent movie. It made me want to play the games again, for sure. After that, I watched Reminiscence. If anybody listened or watched we did a trailer reaction to that, right? I believe so. If anybody watched it,
no, we did, but then it was one of the ones we had technical difficulties and couldn't do.
long story short, we did a trailer reaction for it. I was hyped for it. Heard bad news that it wasn't that great, so I was like, I guess I'll just wait till I see it at home. because this is still like when COVID was like super a thing, and theaters were opening back up. Saw it just now finally, and lo and behold, I was disappointed. It was interesting to say the least. The plot, was there, but it went this weird. How did I describe it the other day? It was like a noir movie film that just
you said Vietnamese noir movie.
Yes, it was. I wasn't sure. It's like a Vietnam like war noir film. Like you've got the guy who's like, oh, I served my time. I always, those Vietnam vets who always know that you have to they serve their times, which understandably so. But Hugh Jackman and multiple other characters constantly brought up the fact that they are trained in, killing people and just fighting and just served time, and it's just brought up so much. And then the noir aspect is, like this romance between like investigative whole thing.
The sultry woman.
Yeah, the
voiceover and all that.
Yeah, it was interesting, but I think they should have went definitely more noir than anything.
Yeah. My whole problem with it,
I don't know how much I could change.
My whole problem with it is that Rebecca Ferguson's character is 1,000 times more interesting than Hugh Jackman's character.
Yeah.
But they follow Hugh Jackman and not
But her character's
Rebecca
also
Ferguson.
so like bland during the whole thing that you don't...
Because it's from his perspective, though.
Yeah.
So what happens to her is interesting.
Yeah. So you don't give a shit the whole time. Mm-hmm. So you're like, oh...
And I may be biased because I have a huge crush on Rebecca Ferguson, but I wanted to watch her character's story.
It would have been
more.
a better story throughout. I don't give a fuck about flooded Florida.
Honestly,
I don't at all.
It pretty much is already. So
yeah, I don't think it had that much to do with the plot except for a fight scene and some stuff. But it didn't have that much to do. I didn't care about that. It focused a lot on all of that, and I don't know. It could have been really cool. It wasn't though. So it got like a 2.5. We saw Drive My Car yesterday. That I sat there in my car for about 12 seconds. That's a 5-star. That's it. 5 stars. Such a good movie.
I gave it 4-star.
Hey, listen.
It might go up later, but my immediate reaction is 4-star.
Yeah.
Mainly because of the length, but I might be easier on it later on.
Yeah, I loved it. I'd watch it again. I leaned over to Mike at one point. I'm like, this is like this movie's perfect for when like you want to go out and drive on like a really nice night, but you're just too fucking lazy. So you put this movie on, and because there's so much driving and just so relaxing and just watching it all happen, you're like, yeah, that's fine. I don't have to go out tonight.
It did have a way more interesting plot than I thought it would.
Yeah.
With the actor and everything, and them kind of there was a lot of exposition, but it worked, and they explored their traumas and everything, and I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it.
For going into a movie I had basically nothing or like no knowledge about, I had less knowledge. Blew my mind. Blew my absolute mind going into it. So that was awesome. 5 stars for me. But I believe besides John Q, which I still have to rate, that is it for me. Michael,
you watched Annette.
No, I did. Oh yeah, I didn't rate it because I'm still thinking about it. I did watch Annette. Hey everybody.
Yeah.
I watched Annette.
I feel like you had a few others as well, but Annette's the only one I really care about.
Yeah. There was a lot of shows that I've been watching in between all of that. So I watched a lot, but the shows I don't care about as much. Plus it's not that interesting. But Annette, I still have to think about that. It was a fun little movie, a great musical. Mm-hmm. I'm not that into musicals. I think the best part about the movie was the second half. The first part, it's okay. But I still don't know how I feel about it overall. Maybe I'm thinking about a 4 roughly.
Yeah, I feel like the first half drags a little bit, but then it picks up a lot in the second half. So I'd agree with you on that. But yeah, I believe that's all you watched, at least that I can remember. I just love when I know you watched a movie and you don't bring it up.
I'm just bad.
Yeah, it's all good. I watched a few movies. The first one, I rewatched The King's Man because I hadn't been to the theaters in a while, and a while for me. For most people, would probably be a perfect amount of time. So I just rewatched it. It's a movie that I don't mind. There's this couple who was making out behind me loudly until I moved seats, but like they were making. I'm just, if you're gonna go spend $14 per person to make out, how shitty is your home life? These weren't teenagers, mind you. These were grown adults.
Oh, of course, yes.
Like it made no sense. That's one thing I never understood. Is like, watch the movie and then make out in your car or make out at home.
Just make out in the bathroom or something like a normal person.
I was fully expecting them to get it on, and luckily they didn't. But
thank the Lord.
And then when they weren't making out, the woman was asking a bunch of questions, like, "Oh, well, if you fucking paid attention, maybe you wouldn't have all these questions." But anyway, then I, as everyone knows, I'm going through the 1001 movies you must watch before you die, which is really at the moment 1,245 movies, soon to be more. And I watched a movie called Lola Montez, also known as The Sins of Lola Montez. This is a French film from 1955 that is about this woman who is a circus performer, but all she does in the circus is talk about how many men she's been with.
Okay.
And on top of that, it's really dull. It's really boring. Like, me in romance, so maybe like people who like romance might actually like it.
The only romance you like is between you and I.
Exactly. But it was extremely boring. So boring, in fact, that the movie that I watched after that, which is also in the 1001 movies you must watch before you die, is 3.5 hours of literally just a woman going on about her day.
Jesus.
And I found that to be more interesting than Lola Montez.
What movie was that?
That was Jeune Dielman 23 Croix du Commerce 1080 Bruxelles. My pronunciation of that is horrible, I know. But it's a Belgium.
Sounded like a mouthful.
It is a Belgian movie that is French language from 1975. Legitimately, it is just 3 days of this woman going on about her routine. And then the thing that honestly made it interesting is I read the plot, and in the plot it says she goes about her routine until something dangerous happens.
Oh.
So the entire time, she's like I'm waiting for the danger. She's peeling potatoes really fast with a knife, not a peeler. And I'm just like, fuck, she's going to slit her wrist. Oh, no, that's fine. Then she's watching a baby, but it's the 70s, so she puts a baby on the table in its bassinet and then walks away to go eat lunch. And I'm like, oh, fuck, the baby's going to die. No, the baby doesn't. No. It makes everything so much more intense knowing that something dangerous is supposed to happen.
Yeah.
But that aside, it is still relatively interesting to just kind of people watch for 3.5 hours. I wish it was shorter. It would have been like a really solid movie at
probably even 3 hours would have felt somewhat better.
Yeah, but like at an hour and a half, 2 hours, I think it would have been a really solid film. 3.5 hours was definitely stretching it, but way more interesting than Lola Montez, which is an actual movie that isn't like a thought experiment.
Yeah.
So yeah, watch that. Then I watched a romantic comedy from 1932 called Me and My Gal, which is about this detective who kind of courts this woman, and this woman's sister is hiding a escaped convict in her attic and stuff. It's pretty funny. It's from the 30s, so some of the humor is hit and miss.
Yeah.
A lot of it's just like, what do you say, Jake? Blah, blah, blah. Stupid stuff like that.
Me.
So yeah, it's stuff that doesn't land very well today, but there is some really solid stuff in there. I enjoy that. That's also on the 1001 movies you must watch before you die.
Cranking
I watch it. Yeah. Then I watched Drive My Car, which we talked about already. Really good. Highly suggest people check it out. Then I watched John Q, which we're going to get to in just a minute, but we have some unfortunate news. Glenn, I'll let you do the first one.
As is these years.
Yes.
First off, we had two passings, at least two major actors, as we know.
Ones that we know.
Ones that we know for sure. The first one being the good rock star himself, Meatloaf.
Yes, I think a lot of people forget that he was Bob Bitch Tits in Fight Club. And I've been like referencing Bob Bitch Tits to everyone, and they're just like, what? It was like, he's played Bob Bitch Tits in Fight Club.
He's been in so much, and you don't really think about it until you're looking at this IMDb list, and it is insane how many credits he's got.
Well, he's got like 2 personas. He's got his like normal clean cut self.
Yeah.
Which looks like a normal dude, looks like someone's dad. And then he's got his rocker persona, where he looks like a rock star. It's insane. He's a chameleon in that way.
It's like, I think that the most I know him from specifically is Tenacious D. You know, when I was younger, I watched Tenacious D a lot, and he was Jack Black's dad in that movie. Yeah. And just he's killer. He's absolutely killer, dude. In his music, me and my buddies were just like randomly singing, and I would do anything for love. And they're like, why the fuck are we singing this song right now? And then it all hit us at the same time that Meatloaf just passed. We're like, no. it was so sad, but we were all just jamming. It was a good time. Amazing rocker and amazing actor.
There's a funny video with him. He's like at a meet and greet, and someone asks him what that is in that song. Yeah, and he's just like, when I gave this to my manager, he was like, "Are people going to understand it?" I'm like, "Yeah, people aren't stupid." Well, he was right. I was wrong.
That's funny.
And he explained what it was, and it's like the verse before the chorus is the thing that he won't do, for each time. So, yeah,
interesting.
He will be missed. But we also lost a hilarious man with Louis Anderson, who passed on the same day, or maybe a day apart. I don't know. But I heard about it on the same day. And I don't know if you know Louis very well, but like I used to watch his cartoon Life with Louis. I grew up with a lot of Louis Anderson.
Yeah, I know who he is. I've never specifically watched a lot of the things.
Yeah, of course he's
done.
He's an Emmy winner for his performance in Baskets, as he plays Zach Galifianakis' mom in Baskets. And he's great in that. He's in Coming to America, of course. And he's just a hilarious dude, massive loss in talent, and he will also be missed as well. So
he will truly be.
So with all that sad news aside, let's get into something a little lighter. With John Q.
Lieutenant Frank Grimes of Chicago Police Department. Are you the man in charge?
That's right.
Well, who am I speaking to?
John Q.
I assume since all the doors are locked, this is a hostage situation. Is that correct?
Okay. Bless me, Father, for I've sinned. I know you do things your own way.
Blood pressure is dropping fast. He's going into cardiac arrest.
But I don't understand.
Mike's heart is useless. He's going to need a transplant or he's going to die.
What make Mike so sick?
Transplant surgery is very expensive.
We got insurance.
There are no provisions in your policy for a procedure of this magnitude.
All right, you want money? I'll get you your money. We've recently switched carriers.
We only give assistance to patients without coverage. I'm sorry, I can't help you.
Have you tried Medicaid?
No, you don't qualify.
My son is dying. I'm broke. If I don't qualify, who the hell does?
I've done everything I can do. I'm sorry.
Please.
They are releasing him. Now you need to do something.
I'll take care of it.
Hear me? Do something.
The hospital's under new management now. Everybody does exactly what I say. Nobody will get hurt.
John Quincy Archibald takes a hospital emergency room hostage when his insurance won't cover his son's heart transplant. Directed by Nick Cassavetes, written by James Kearns, starring Denzel Washington, Robert Duvall, Gabriella Oltein, Kimberly Elise, Daniel E. Smith, James Woods is in there, Eddie Griffin is in there.
Which I can't believe he's not higher up on this top cast here.
I think they do it by other than Denzel Washington and Robert Duvall. I think it is by
appearance.
Appearance, yeah.
Yeah, because there's like tow truck driver and employee manager. Yeah, I guess you're right.
Yeah, I mean, because Gabrielle Oltein is the woman, the very first woman you see and she's not a huge part. I mean, she's an important part, but she's not a huge part. But yeah, I picked this because back when it was released in 2002, I wanted to go see it, and no one wanted to go see it with me. And I was 12 at the time. Yeah, I was 12 at the time, so I couldn't just go by myself without someone driving me, and no one would drive me. So I wanted to see it, and I heard about all the critiques of it, which I agree with to some extent. But overall, this movie was corny, but I enjoyed it. I think there's enough there to, give it some acknowledgement. I think, especially Denzel Washington. Denzel Washington's great in it.
Oh yeah, he sends this bastard home.
Yeah, he does. But yeah, it's one of those movies where like I totally get everyone's criticisms about it, and I also get why people like it. It's a very down the middle movie for me, which is the most polarizing for some reason. Are the ones that I find like to be. I could see both sides of it.
Yeah.
But where do we start other than America's healthcare system is in shambles? And the fact that this is still relevant 20 years later,
still relevant today,
is very depressing.
Yeah.
For I don't know if we have any European listeners, but I'm jealous.
You're
I'm jealous
lucky.
of your healthcare system. I don't care if we'd have to pay more taxes. Take my taxes, please. And
it would be nice.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know what you're saying.
Yeah, I can this movie does suffer from its early 2000s time that it took place in.
Yeah.
Because that's probably what made it the most corny is just how most movies were made and scripts were written back then.
Yeah.
For me at least, I thought this movie was great, fantastic, almost even at least from all the performances. And how well all the characters, were written out and everything like that, and how funny everybody was, and even in the most troubling times, like the most cheesy thing to me was like the crowd outside of the hospital cheering John Q on.
The crowd and the news guy, the news anchor, he was kind of corny too. Mm-hmm. And then also the son of a bitch boyfriend Mitch Quigley, who like stabs him. His character was a bit over the top. Mm-hmm. It's you're right. It definitely suffers from its time. That's really all the problem I have with this. It was 2002, and that it feels very 2002.
Yeah.
Even though the topic is still relevant to Americans today.
Yep,
it is very of the time.
So John Q is placed in this situation, in a hostage situation, and he is the gunman because his son cannot get a heart transplant. He's trying to get the money up, but his insurance isn't covering because he's knocked down to part-time instead of his full-time hourly insurance that he should be getting.
Without being told too.
And without being told. So he's struggling to make up the money, and the hospital has just been like, hey, we did everything we could, even though they really haven't.
No, they have not.
So he has had it up to his ends, and he has to save his son, and is put in this situation where like, I'm going to do whatever the fuck I have to do to save my child. Or as else as he like to say it, my son is going to bury me. I will not. He says it the other way, but still.
Yeah.
But he's put in this situation where it's just dire needs, and he has to resort to straight crime. But his hostages are like these perfect pick of people where he shows his true intentions of being a good-hearted person, and besides Mitch being a dumb fuck, pretty much proves that he just wants to save his child and doesn't want to hurt anybody as much as possible, except for emotionally, because they are hostages.
Yeah, well, at first, and then they kind of realize they get the whole Stockholm syndrome thing. Mm-hmm. Though I think because it is America, people understand how shitty the healthcare system is. Yeah, and they're just like, honestly, I don't even blame you. Like,
honestly, you give me another bag of Cheetos, I'm all for it.
Yeah. It definitely requires a massive suspension of disbelief, to the point where just like he locks like 3 doors, and then that makes them secure. Like hospitals are massive and have countless hallways for both just staff and things. It's just like there would have been other ways to get in that he didn't know about. But yeah, it is. It's a good movie. I enjoy it. I think it says a lot. It's a little on the nose, but you know what? For that, it needs to be for non-domestic audiences.
Yeah.
Because everyone in America knows everything that's going on, and then like people outside now, it's more widely known that our healthcare system sucks. But like. They would need to explain it to them. My biggest problem with this is that the music choices are so fucking weird.
Yeah.
Like, they don't fit at all. Like, there's a montage of him trying to get money, and it's like this weird gospel song that just doesn't fit. There's, like, Matrix-style score underneath.
There is some Matrix. I definitely know the one you're talking about. This guy, the director of this one, he also made Face Off, so it kind of makes sense, his score.
Yeah, Nick Cassavetes. Yeah.
I don't know who did the score. I'm looking that up right now.
Aaron Zigman.
The score was definitely kind of all over the place with how it was done. You definitely felt like you were in the Matrix and he was about to punch Neo in the face at some point.
Yeah.
So that was fun.
Yeah.
But seeing that this guy made Face Off, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, it's such a straightforward story that it's kind of hard to talk about. Other than Denzel, Denzel is just remarkable in it as usual. And yeah, I don't know what else to say.
I needed more Eddie Griffin, man.
Eddie Griffin, yeah.
That motherfucker was so funny in this, and he only had such little screen time.
Yeah, his little like shit-eating grin as he's being driven away at the end in the back of the police cruiser. I was actually really mad when I thought he was going to get away with it scot-free. I was just like, God, this is obviously a studio call.
Yeah.
If he's going to get off. And then Robert Duvall kind of gets on to him and finds him and to his credit, doesn't put the handcuffs on him. He's like, hey, put these on.
Hey, when you get a chance.
Yeah, take your time. It shows the respect there and everything. So it's the best of both worlds. Another thing, though, he has 3 charges, none of which are assaulting a police officer, which you think they would have since he beat the shit out of a police officer.
Absolutely did.
But the one he gets found guilty of is kidnapping all the people that he kidnapped. Now, I could be wrong. I'm not a lawyer or anything, but I feel like when there's specific victims in a charge such as that, all of those people would have needed to press charges, and each one would be its own individual charge.
Yeah. So
that would, depending on the state he lives in, it could either run concurrently, which means like all those sentences go on at the same time, or simultaneous. I don't remember. One is like they're all like if he gets like 35 years things, but they all run at the same time. He's out in 5 years. Or he could get 35-year things and have to be in there for 150 years or whatever it is.
Logically, it's a thinker.
Yeah, it's a thinker. It's, again, like I said, it's suspension of disbelief. But the thing that I think is even more unbelievable is that every single one of those people would have pressed charges.
Yeah, 100%. Especially since they were all there in the courtroom on his side.
Yeah, like cheering for him and everything. Yep. And then looked disappointed when he got found guilty. So, I could be wrong. I'm fairly certain that's how it needs to happen. Yeah. It's not like the state can just throw it. The other ones, the state can throw that on you. But when it's like kidnapping, they have to get the person.
James Woods was there and everything.
Yeah. When it's kidnapping, they have to get the person to say that they were kidnapped. When it's like attempted murder and stuff like that, I don't think they need the person to say that. But so, yeah, a lot of suspension of disbelief. But, I kind of went in knowing this was going to be slightly corny. But it definitely felt like there was some studio interference, especially towards the end. But
yeah, I think the biggest gripes that I have is his wife's character. I don't know. She was just a lot to handle during parts of this, and I was like, oh my God, especially where she's like, you need to take care of our son, and just screaming at it. I somehow did a Denzel impression for his wife.
Everyone in this
or maybe
movie
I did
Denzel.
John David Washington. Who knows?
Yeah.
They sound exactly the same.
Yeah.
But she was a little, too much at times for me. And Robert Duvall, I thought he would have, stood out more in this, but he honestly could have been replaced, and I wouldn't have noticed.
I feel like he called it in.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of times he was making, I hate to say it, I can't compare it to anything else, but Trump debate faces.
Yeah.
Where he's just like, someone says something and he's like,
you would do that? No.
Yeah. And I feel like he definitely just either did this as a favor to someone and didn't try, or, something went wrong and he just got bad direction or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. Kimberly Elise, who plays Denise Archibald, it's not that she's bad. She just feels like she's in a different movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of her character and the way she's acting into the character. But her and Robert Duvall, I mean, Ray Liotta was a little good, but he wasn't like anything expensive. I could see how this movie would get underlooked.
Yeah.
Because some of the performances aren't great. Denzel's fantastic. He usually is.
James Woods is really good.
James Woods is really good. Eddie Griffin was fucking great.
Yeah, Eddie Griffin was good.
And, I mean, but other than that, I could see how it flies under the radar, and because the corniness and, the time it took place. But I did have a lot of fun with this movie. So
yeah, same here.
It's such a like, heart. Oh, there's that word again. I was gonna start crying. Such a. I guess I could talk about that a little bit, like the bond that he had with his son and how touching that was.
Yeah.
Because like they had their moments where it's like, I'm not gonna say goodbye. I'm gonna say see you later, because this is never goodbye. Okay, now come on, Slugger, show me your warfare. And like they always strongman pose, because his son loves, Olympian weightlifters basically, and so there was a nice bond there between boy and father.
Yeah. And it was only ruined by the kid's performance, but he's a kid actor.
He's a child actor.
So
for sure.
I don't really blame him. He's been in other stuff. I haven't
I could
seen
only
anything.
see in that kid growing up to be Anthony Mackie in Pain and Gain. It's the only thing I could see.
He kind of looks like Anthony Mackie.
Mm-hmm. It's the forehead.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, he's still working, so I'm happy for him.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the unsung hero of this entire movie is Nurse Reggie.
For real.
Who is the nurse that runs like a motherfucking Olympian when he finds out that they found a heart that's a match for him, and Denzel's about to kill himself.
Yep.
He runs so fast. I was just like, Reggie, you could carry me anytime.
Carry me, my good sir, please.
I don't know if you could, because I'm pretty heavy. But
I mean, he looked like a fit guy.
He did look like a fit guy.
I can't lie.
But like, I knew I was gonna like him from the get go, because he was like the only one that like took the time to explain to them. Like, yes, it was an exposition dump, but he was just like, hey.
Yeah.
If this gets below 70, we're in serious trouble. And he was the first person to talk to them like they were humans.
Besides,
I
think Nurse or Dr. Ellen, the one chick who was like, "Don't stop trying. Like you got to keep fucking with this place, this system, because like otherwise, you're giving up. You're literally just gonna let this kid go." Other than her, yeah, Nurse Reggie was a fucking G. He was the man. Mm-hmm. But I mean, other than that, I don't have too much, brother. I don't have too much left.
Me neither. So that does it for our review of John Q. That brings us to our judgment. Does this become a little shelf boy with the likes of Apostle and Handmaiden? Has to be a unanimous decision, as always. And since I picked it, I get to go first. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I hate it when I have to go first, and it's a movie that like I like, but is it really worthy of the shelf?
Yep.
So I'm leaning no, just because there are whoa
my heart.
Stop with the hearts, man. There are a lot of issues with it. I enjoyed it. I don't know if I would like wholeheartedly recommend it to people. Be like, you're absolutely gonna love this, which is what I like to think the shelf is. Like if it's interesting.
Yeah.
To Americans, this movie's just sad because it was 20 years ago and nothing's changed. But yeah, I liked it.
My opinion on it?
Sure.
Okay. I really enjoyed this movie besides the corniness of it. And, the time it, took place because of that corniness. But other than, a couple of the roles, I think this movie was great. It's definitely overlooked and should for sure be watched, at least once. Because I mean, especially if you watch the short film with all the Denzels at the table, like you plugged last week.
Yeah.
I mean, you're just sitting there, and as soon as he says the line, you're like, I fucking know that line.
I don't accept that.
I could do not accept that.
I do not accept that.
It feels so good. If you've ever done a Denzel impression, it just feels nice. It just feels nice. I want to put it on the shelf.
Okay.
Just because I think it's overlooked. And I think it's very, very heartfelt and it was just good to see, Yeah. And I would watch it again, honestly.
I'm going to put it on just for Denzel alone. And also because I like it a hell of a lot more than Mr. Nobody.
Yeah.
And
that had nothing to do with it, but yeah.
Well, no, I said yes because it's one of your favorite movies, and you still have yet to reciprocate that for me.
I will never do it.
You son of a bitch.
Mm-hmm. I don't know why you did it.
I am taking Mr. Nobody off. I'm doing it.
I do not accept that. How many times can we say this line? You put that son of a bitch back on. I turn him into Jack Black now.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
I swear to God, I know
Nicholson.
you like a ghost story, but if I were to say yes to the ghost story and you were to say no, I would hope that you would say yes to the ghost story.
I'd shove a pie in my face right now.
Anyway, so I'll say yeah for John Q just because Denzel's really great in it.
Look at that.
And it's very sad for Americans. Why do we live in a place where people think it's great and refuse to acknowledge that it's not great?
They really just point their fingers and laugh.
Yeah. Well, John Q makes it onto the list with the likes of Apostle and Handmaiden, so there's that. I'll next time I have to pay a hospital bill, I'll throw that little hey. We like John Q.
We do like John Q. Can you help us?
Can you
and they'll
help
be like,
us?
why do you like John Q?
I do not accept that.
I do not accept that bill. Yeah. I do not.
Real rap, though, in my opinion, anyone under the age of 25 who needs a heart transplant should be the first people on the lists. Fuck the old people who need hearts if it's down to that,
That even means us. Fuck us.
I've been over 25 for the past 7 years, so
yep.
And honestly, I don't take care of myself. So if it were between me and a healthy kid that just
I deserve this. This is the way I go.
Got bad genetics? Fuck me. Yeah, just please, one last time before I die. So John Q makes out the list with the likes of Apostle and Handmaiden. That brings us. Most of this is just us bullshit.
It is a lot of us.
That brings us to our assignment for next week. It is Glenn's turn to pick. So Glenn, what are we watching next week?
Glenn is going to pick a little film that he has kind of been really wanting to see lately, and he noticed that you hadn't seen it. Ooh. Oh my God, this is the first time in a while I got to say this. Holy shit.
I mean, you did that for Midnight in Paris.
Yeah, but I had watched that already. I've been wanting to watch this one.
You haven't seen. Okay.
Yeah. So.
Gotcha.
Without further ado, Interview with the Vampire Chronicles. That's right.
What do you say we get started?
So you want me to tell you the story of my life? I'll tell you my story. I'll tell you all of it. I'm flesh and blood, but not human. I haven't been human for 200 years.
From the novel by Anne Rice. From Neil Jordan, the director of The Crying Game.
I've come to answer your prayers. Life has no meaning anymore, does it?
His name is Lestat.
But what if I could give it back to you? Pluck out the pain and give you another life. One you could never imagine. I can see you lying on a bed of satin.
He chose one man. He gave him infinite power. Eternal life. And a daughter who would be forever young.
This is the only real evil left.
And then he took the light of day.
You're a vampire who never knew what life was until it ran out in a red gush over your lips.
I can't stand this any longer.
You made us what we are, didn't you?
God kills indiscriminately, and so shall we.
Do you like dying? You condemn me to hell!
Monster. One happy family.
Take her, Louis. End her suffering and yours. But do not doubt, you are a killer. I want some more.
Why are you picking ones that are slightly creepy?
Because it's January and I've got nothing better to do.
That's fine.
A vampire tells his epic life story, love, betrayal, loneliness, and hunger. Directed by Neil Jordan, written by Anne Rice, for the screenplay, of course. Stars Brad Pitt, Tom Cruise, Antonio Banderas, Kirsten Dunst, Christian Slater. I've never actually had to say her name. Is it Thandiwe Newton?
It's Thandiwe.
Thandiwe Newton.
I'm fairly certain, if anyone knows 100% what it is, correct me, but I'm pretty sure it's Thandiwe. Because it was Tandy, because someone misspelled her name and she just never corrected them, and now she changed it. And I believe it's Thandiwe.
All right, well, hopefully Thandiwe Newton. So yeah, this is a movie that I've know about. I've been wanting to see. I hear it's good. I'm hoping it's good. It's rated R with 2-hour runtime, and it is on Netflix. That is going to be the movie we are going to be watching.
Yeah. You want to know why I avoided this movie?
Tell me.
Because I forget who she kisses, but Kirsten Dunst kissed a grown man when she was like 13 years old or 12 years old, however old she is in this. And it's like her first kiss that she ever had.
Oh.
And that's a little creepy. That's kind of like the bad side of Hollywood that they've gotten rid of finally.
Yeah.
And that's why I've avoided it. But, you know, whatever.
Here we are.
Yeah. And honestly, that's not as bad as Woody Allen. So
100%.
There's that. So, Interview with a Vampire on Netflix. That is our assignment for next week. Thank you, everyone, for listening. As always, you can check out our website at www.keystonefilmreview.com. On Instagram, we are Keystone_Film_Review. Twitter, Keystone_Film. Facebook, Keystone Film Review. YouTube, Keystone Film Review. TikTok, Keystone Film Review. And on Letterboxd, I am Mike, KFR.
And I am Glenn, KFR.
And that will do it until next week when we watch a little creepy kiss and then presumably 2 hours, 2 minutes, and 45 seconds around that kiss that aren't a creepy little kiss.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. We'll find out. Bye-bye, everybody.
Goodbye.
I don't accept that.
I accept that you were going to leave.